everyone. I am Arian Guzman from Guadalupe Elementary School, Coron Inland District, Division of Palawan. Today, I am going to present to you my action research entitled I-Learning Activity Packet, an intervention program to maximize individualized instruction during modular distance learning. The great number of activities in each module is one of the main problems that emerged in the implementation of modular distance learning. The Department of Education should consider this problem by reducing the activities and taking out the unnecessary topics so that mastery will be attained as much as possible. As what some of the parents said, the lesser the better. Section 10.2 of the Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act 10533 states that curriculum shall be contextualized and be flexible enough to enable and allow schools to localize and enhance the curriculum based on their respective educational and social context. Considering the challenges experienced by the learners and parents, the researcher crafted an individualized learning activity packet consisting of individualized instructional learning plan and materials using the SLMs and other references like MELC, textbooks, teacher's guide, and learner's materials that can accommodate the learner's individual differences in Guadalupe Elementary School. This research hereby assigned the I-Learning Activity Packet as the independent variable and the grade 3 pupils' academic performance as the dependent variable. This study attempted to answer the following questions. 1. What is the result of pretest of the respondents? 2. Is there a significant difference between the pretest and post-test of the experimental group? 3. Is there a significant difference between the pretest and post-test of the control group? 4. Is there a significant difference between the pretest and post-test of the experimental and control group after the implementation of the program? 5. Is there a significant difference between the post-test of the experimental and control group? 6. What recommendations may be offered after the implementation of the program? I-Learning Program. This program enables the pupils to work through the self-learning modules at a level of achievement that best suits their needs. It has a sequential learning packet which covers specific learning competencies. The tasks and exercises were structured for below average or struggling, average, and above average students, so each subsequent level contains up to 1/3 of their exercises from the previous level. This way of structuring the exercises is much more helpful when there is the need to verify whether a student can move from one level to the next. Learners are allowed to choose worksheets based on the level of task complexity. They are enabled to assess the level of their knowledge, and on the other hand, if they successfully solve the first level of tasks, they can move to the next, more complex level. I-Learning Activity Packet. It includes a clear and easy to understand and follow individualized learning plan, MELC-based lesson exemplar, contextualized self-learning modules, and worksheets which are organized to help pupils develop self-direction. The achievement performance result of the pupils from quarter 3 will identify the level of the I-Learning Activity Packet that will be provided for them. The following is the structural teaching plan that allows to choose exercises and tasks by level of complexity. Preparatory phase. It consists of the course content preparation and the I-Learning contracts. Course content preparation is the first week of implementation, which will be spent by explaining the procedure of the program to each pupil. The teacher will help each pupil learn to set appropriate goals for himself. I-Learning contracts. This is a series of sequential learning contracts. Each contract has a specific learning objective stated so that the pupil knows what he must be able to do to demonstrate his learning. The contract tells what materials and procedures are required. The pupil works independently, asking for help from the parents or teacher when necessary. Each contract must be successfully completed before the student can progress to the next one. Operational phase. The I-Learning packet given to them are organized that the teacher can spot check them. From this spot checking, the teacher determines the progress, his understanding, and where he needs more work. On the second week, another of I-Learning activity packet will be distributed to each pupil, which depends on what they have to complete from the last week's task. At the end of the second week, each pupil will be given a written test that is based on the competency or competencies that he completes. The teacher will evaluate the result of assessment to identify the needs and as well as to track the progress of the pupils. Last is the verification phase. Teacher-pupil conferences. The pupils will have a scheduled 15-minute conferences once a week with the teacher. It can be through voice call, video call, or home visitation. This is to review the previous week's activity. The pupil compared what he accomplished with what he had planned. He will go over his work packet and discuss what was easy and what was difficult for him. The pupil will receive a star every time they accomplish a task or competency, which they will put on their star meter as part of their self-assessment. The rest of the conference was spent planning the next week's work. The research methodology. The researchers adopted the experimental method of research. As requirements of the experimental research model, experiment and control group are formed. In the creation process of groups, it is paid attention that the students in the groups have similar characteristics. Sampling. The population of the study is the 34 grade 3 pupils of Guadalupe Elementary School. Selecting of sample used random sampling technique. There were 17 pupils in the experimental group and 17 pupils in the control group. For the data gathering methods, pre-test and post-test. This was used in order to determine the academic performance of the grade 3 pupils before and after the implementation of the program. The researcher used a standard test questionnaire as measurement scale for this study, which was the Division Unified Test in Mathematics for third quarter in form of multiple choices. For the data analysis, the descriptive statistical tool used were mean and standard deviation to interpret the academic performance of the participants. The inferential statistical tool applied is the independent t-test. For the discussion of results and reflection, research question number 1. What is the result of the pre-test of the respondents? Based on the result, it can be interpreted that there was no significant difference between the experimental group and control group scores. It states that the students in the experimental group and control group had similar levels of knowledge before the implementation of the program. Research question number 2. Is there a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test of the experimental group? Based on the results of the table 2, it can be interpreted that there was no significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of the experimental group. This indicated that the treatment increased experimental group scores, which means that the experimental group learners improved their academic level through e-learning activity packet. Research question number 3. Is there a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test of the control group? Based on the result on the table 3, it can be interpreted that there was significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of control group. This indicated that the self-learning modules also increased the group scores, which means that the control group learners improved their academic level through self-learning modules. Research question number 4. Is there a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test of the experimental and control group after the implementation of the program?
Table 4 shows that there was no significant difference between the pre-test and post-test of the experimental group and control group scores.
It can be concluded that the pupils in the experimental group and control group had similar levels of knowledge after the implementation of the program. Research question number 5. Is there a significant difference between the post-test of the experimental and control group? Based on the results, it can be interpreted that there was a significant difference between the experimental group and control group scores. It can be concluded that the students in the experimental group has higher level of academic achievement than the control group. What recommendations may be offered after the implementation of the program? In the light of the foregoing findings of the study, the following are recommended. First, the Department of Education officials may institutionalize the use of e-learning activity packet in foreseen difficulties of learners in learning not only in mathematics but also in other subjects. They may formulate policies that will encourage the teachers to develop e-learning packet for their classes to maximize teachers' potential in making more effective instructional materials, which can be helpful in saving students who are academically at risk. Number 2, principals, head teachers, and master teachers can conduct seminars and in-service trainings regarding the development of e-learning packet that may aim to enhance and maximize teachers' potential in developing instructional materials such as contextualized learning activity sheets as well as its implementation as a remediation tool. Number 3, teachers may develop e-learning packet for lessons focusing on the least learned competencies in their grade level, which can be as a remediation tool. And last but not the least, researchers may embark similar studies on the use of e-learning packet that are highly needed to provide further evidence on its effectiveness as a remediation tool. A study with a higher number of samples is recommended. According to Kurt Lewin, learning is more effective when it is an active rather than a passive process. Again, this is Ariane P. Dixman, your researcher for the